Hey guys, what's up? Today's podcast is brought to you by Audible. Get a free audiobook download and 30-day free trial at audibletrial.com/eggs show. That's EGGSSHOW. Audible has more than 180,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or just about any device you can imagine. As Eggs listeners, you can download a free audiobook today by visiting audibletrial.com/eggs show.
Bang ding ding, trademark. He come out 6'7" tall. Bang ding ding, 1 inch tall. Bang dong ding dong ding dong ding dong ding dong ding dong ding. This is a perfect day.
Woke up to the sound of the garbage truck again. Upstairs neighbor's toilet's leaking on my head. Cars broke down, I missed the bus that runs at 10. I had a feeling this was a day to stay in bed. I finally left my pad right under Jumbo's cloud roof. A police officer pulled out his gun and said, I said, sir, you got the wrong guy. I guess it's just the perfect day. It's just the perfect day. Na, 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 na,
Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to Eggs. We got another great episode this week. This week we got a friend of mine, actually a new friend. Met him last week for the first time via LinkedIn and
in the
social
real
media.
world.
We've got a long history of social media. But today we got Chase Loader, otherwise known as Chase 1-2. He's a DJ here in the Salt Lake area, and it's kind of nice because I get to pick his brain about the market and get to know what's up. So
Yeah, well, it's been kind of cool because, I mean, for people who've listened to the show for a long time, I mean, Mike's a DJ, but, like, as we've been developing the studio, he hasn't been doing a lot of DJ work. And so I think he's been getting the itch, you know? So it's good that he's starting to make friends down here in the world because he spends a lot of time in the dungeon of our studio, you know?
Yeah.
So it's good to be getting out there and nice to meet some new people.
yeah, we've been going over how early it is in the morning. It's 10 a.m. and it's like the Crypt Keeper's coming alive. It's too early for DJs.
Yeah, Mike's barely been asleep yet.
Barely, but thanks for coming in, making the time. I know it
No,
was a little
thank
bit
you.
last minute.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, cool. So, yeah, why don't we start out with just a little bit of background? So tell us about who you are, where you're from, what you do, that kind of thing.
Well, I was born in Tampa Bay. From Tampa Bay to Sacramento, and then I pretty much grew up in Phoenix.
Okay.
And then from Phoenix, I graduated high school and moved up here in 99, 2000.
What brought you here?
My older brother had lived here, and I'd always come up here and visit to go snowboarding.
There you go.
Oh,
So
cool.
I came up here for the mountains, and I actually recently have gotten back into snowboarding again, but I kind of went on about a 5-6 year hiatus.
Yeah. Did you ever go with Maddie?
Yeah, me and Maddie ride a little bit here and there.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, no, I used to snowboard when I was a kid up in Idaho, and I crashed on my board once hard enough that it tore the center out of my binding.
Oh,
and I
God.
literally just never went again. So I haven't been in 20-something years. And then just this week, I got a text the other day from this girl that works for us out of our office in Spain, and she just broke her arm. She's going to have surgery on Monday snowboarding.
Anna?
No, Berta, the other one.
Oh, damn it.
So, yeah, no, it's drama all around. So God
Yeah.
bless snowboarding.
Yeah.
So,
It's good. I have a helmet now.
oh, nice.
Yeah.
See, you're keeping up with the
Special Eddie
times.
helmet going on?
Yeah. Well, you know, our heads are softer now than they were when we were
Yeah,
kids.
it's just like I'm not really worried about me running into like a tree.
You're
I
worried
mean,
about the idiot
I'm
coming
worrying
down.
about the idiot running into me.
Yeah. Well, that's how it is always,
Yeah.
right? In the cars, everywhere. It's never you. It's the idiot that runs into you.
Exactly.
Well, see,
it's
I'm
never
the
your
idiot
fault.
that would run into you because I'm not that good. I stick on the, like the groomed sections, and I don't go in around trees because I don't want to die. That's about it. And jumps are off limits. So.
Oh yeah, I mean, I keep it real simple these days.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. I mean, we're all getting older. The recovery time's getting longer.
Exactly.
I used to wakeboard a lot, and that was like I would take the risks wakeboarding because I felt like, like if you eat it really hard, it's just water.
No, it's
But
cement, man.
It hurts.
Water
just
hurts.
the same.
Yep. Oh yeah.
They actually, those helmets for wakeboarding, they have like the ear covers because if you slap the water hard enough, it can actually blow your eardrums out.
I
Stupid
believe it.
sports.
Yeah.
This is why I play all my sports on PlayStation. It's the safest way.
There you go.
You can eat, you
At
can
least
drink, you can do all the things you want to do while you play.
So, coming from Phoenix to here, were you DJing down in Phoenix before, or how long you been doing that?
So I started DJing my junior year of high school, I think, when I was about 16.
Okay.
I think 16, 17.
Do you remember time frame when that was?
That would have been probably 97.
It wasn't enough to get him up at 10 in the morning. Now he's got
Yeah,
to do math.
God. But a friend of mine, he got one of those starter packs that you buy with the 2 belt drive turntables.
Well, at least it was,
know. Sure.
starter pack with belt drive turntables instead of starter track with a 2-button controller. That
Yeah,
you get these
yeah.
days,
And it was cool because like my dad had a really good record collection. So I would, steal
I'm sure
all
he loved
his
you
records.
scratching on those.
Oh yeah, yeah. For a while, he's like, "Oh, what are you doing with those?" And then he was like, "All right, like they're yours." I can't stop you. My mom had a couple records she like hid from me, like they weren't even that great anyway. But whatever.
The greatest of bread.
Yeah.
Karen Carpenter.
So
That's the one everyone's got.
he got that starter pack, and we were all DJing. We were like 16, and then I'd saved up money to buy some 1200s, Technique 1200s, which
Yeah.
are kind of
It's like the
standard.
standard.
the standard
Yeah,
turntable.
even now, all these years later, it's still
They-
the
they
one.
still
you can
are.
still rock one from
Yeah.
the 70s, and it works just as good
Yeah,
as
it's awesome.
the day it came out.
Exactly. So about a year later, I finally got a pair of 1200s and what mixer did I have? I think first mixer I bought was a Rain like TTM 54 or something.
Oh, see,
it
that
was like
at least you
top
got a
of the
dope
line,
mixer,
top of the
right?
line.
Yeah.
Yeah,
for
my
like
first
the-
mixer was a 19-inch rack mount American DJ piece of shit.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
And from there it was like, oh, I got those. I went over to my buddy's house who I'd been buying records, grabbed all my records. You could tell he was kind of bummed. It's like, oh man.
Aw,
And he's like,
dude.
oh, you got 1200s too? It's like, oh. And then a bunch of people I went to high school with all DJ, like during lunch, we'd have DJs come out, try and do the turntable band thing.
Well, that's cool.
Because it was all about scratching for
Yeah.
me then.
Well, see, that's a whole different like environment for like that's out of my element. I never was part of like that, the scratch scene and the.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mike grew up in the church dance movement.
That's how I got started. 100%. Not
So,
kidding.
but I mean, in his defense, I mean, even though I'm making a joke of it, I mean, being able to choose music and being able to,
Oh,
know
that's
your crowd
huge.
and that stuff. I mean, those are all huge skills.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I'm teasing him about not coming up,
Well,
on
yeah.
the streets.
I've talked about it before. It sucks to have come in that kind of demographic because the art of DJing, the actual craft of performing and instead of hitting play and waiting till the song to end and hitting play on the next song and waiting for it to end, I didn't get exposed to that until 2002, 2003. I'd been DJing for like 10 years at that point,
Yeah.
So kind of wish that I could have gone back and turned back the time and done it right. to
See,
begin with.
I'm kind of like, I wish there would have been somebody, or, I mean, God, was there YouTube back then? I don't even know.
Probably not.
Yeah.
I had which DJ was that I bought that? I had a
Obi Trice?
DVD. No,
Oh,
I
it's,
had a
Qbert.
DVD. Yeah,
Qbert.
Qbert. I bought
Yeah.
Qbert's scratch DVD to try and learn how
I
to
think,
do
Oh,
it.
okay.
I think I inherited it. It's sitting on the
Yeah.
desk.
Oh,
out
nice.
there.
Nice.
Yeah, no, at some point I had some interest in doing this too. I mean, both Mike and I have a long, storied career in the music business together. And I, at one point, he had a couple American DJ, like 1200 knockoffs.
Belt drive turntables.
Well, the ones I got
yeah.
from you were direct drives. And so, but they were like the 1200 knockoffs, but they were American DJ. So I had a set of those and a kind of a cheap mixer, and then I just had I bought that the Qbert DVD to try and learn how to scratch.
No, I was
it
the
was
same.
short-lived, but
I had
tried.
VHS copies of turntable TVs that Kubert and those guys used to put out.
Oh, nice.
And just tried to mimic, all the scratches they were doing.
Well, my thing is I came up sort of like, because I'm sort of artistic by nature, like I came in through sort of the graffiti and DJ world, like, sort of the break beats and the B-boys and all that kind of stuff. So I came in kind of through that graffiti side, backdoor, and so I had an interest in it, but like the stuff that I was hearing was like super gritty. I'm like you, I have all these old VHS tapes and stuff, of these old, grimy graffiti videos and stuff.
No, I was the same way.
I love that stuff.
I mean, skateboarding and graffiti probably got me into DJing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
That's
it
cool.
makes sense. I mean, that's where I picked up a lot of like the coolest, like early. I used to see videos of these old, like back east, New York house parties and stuff, where it was like, even you'd even catch dudes like, speaking of the DJ Jazzy Jeff that's coming here in Salt Lake this week, like where you would see his old house parties and stuff, where he'd be there just spinning and stuff, and you'd have guys like Jazzy or Fresh Prince, up there rapping over it and stuff. I mean, it was cool. It was a cool scene back then.
So, you got started in the scratch scene, and kind of you were saying like you wish some guy would do, and you got interrupted.
No, yeah, I mean, I wish someone would have taught me how to count beats per minute. Basically, taught me how to mix.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't mix for probably the first like 2-3 years.
Yeah.
I was just like, I just wanted to scratch. And I thought I was mixing, thought I was doing stuff. And then I actually figured out, like, oh, wait, you can count these? You can count the music?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was before I had anything that you could sit there and, tap it,
Who kind of broke the news to you? Like, was
it was one of my friends. I was friends with these kids I went to high school with. They were twins, and they were super into mixing. They were the mixers. And then I also went to same high school. Like we had a lot of DJs at our high school. Everyone was a DJ. I went to school with DJ Element, which is he's a pretty well-known DJ nowadays with like the B-boy, within the B-boy circles and like the scratch circles.
That's a whole circle I'd like to try and get in, because like I said, I knew nothing about it. But like the Herc here in town seems like a really cool spot.
They're starting to have those open practices that they're doing on Mondays, and they're trying to get DJs to feel more comfortable playing for the dancers.
Oh, really?
Oh, that's cool.
Dude, that would be totally, like, because it's something
there you go.
I've wanted to...
Mondays.
I've got a buddy, his name's Gumbo, but he's DJ'd for the Massive Monkeys in Seattle.
Okay. Yeah.
And it's kind of its own little subculture, and it's something that's just cool, and I like it. And
I always like that B-boy world. It's
well,
cool.
and breaks are a whole nother animal, like doing the juggles and back and forth, and it be fun.
I feel like they're kind of putting that out there because there's not a lot of DJs in Salt Lake that can do it.
Well,
I mean,
especially in that genre,
Yeah, it's like, I mean, right now it's like you pretty much got Scratchmo, Gabe spinning all the battles and stuff here, or they'll bring in someone from out of town. I mean, I've done a couple here and there, but
well, unless
they don't ask me anymore.
if that's any indicator.
I killed it way too hard.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I think I've got like 4 tracks in my library that if I type B-boy in, it pulls up, and it's that way I can get through a impromptu dance battle.
I think it helps too, because I'm super into records. I started sampling records probably around the same time I started DJing, so it was like, I know that break. Oh, I know that drum break on that. I know that. So like, that definitely helps. I mean, DJing is just all about knowing your music. You got to know your music from front to back.
Well, and it's funny to talk about it sort of as an outsider, because like, I think a lot of people, when they hear DJ or whatever, they have something in their brain. It's the guy that plays the music at the bar. They're not all caught up in all this stuff. But I mean, we've covered like 4 different genres of DJing already just in this conversation.
Yeah, totally.
So I mean, it's pretty cool to see just how diverse it could be, because I don't think most people know.
Yeah, definitely.
So you got into mixing. You kind of got that figured out a little bit.
Oh yeah, like stopwatch. Count stuff for 30 seconds, times it by 2, you'd be on or off by about +5 or -5.
Yeah.
So if something was 90 beats per minute,
Yeah.
You had that range. You knew where you were at. You might not have had it like
Start
that's
developing
a
a feel for
straight
it and everything.
92 or something.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, so how did it go from there? So you started to develop some skills and everything. You're running around with this group
So
of
then
DJs.
it was
What
like
happened next?
then it was like, oh wow, I know how to count, beats per minute. So then it was just like, yellow notepads like thumbtacked all over my house with just like song, artist, speed.
Love it.
So everything, like if you come to my house and flip through my records, like all of them have labels of like, it's all by speed for the most part.
So I got into the record game after the CD game. So like I was the mobile guy that toured around with the books of CDs, and I did zero mixing. And I didn't really get into mixing until Serato came out. And so it was kind of like that kind of opened that door to me.
Yeah.
And over the years, I inherited a bunch of records from, like DJ Faze from Seattle. Victor Manigault gave me his back catalog. And
All the bar bangers.
yeah, all the bangers, the original bangers. But it's interesting to see them, how they tagged their records back in the day. Like, same kind of thing. They the song, the BPM, all the different notes that they need to know are just on that label.
Yeah.
But sorting the records themselves, that to me is almost kind of like its own little thing, because one record could have 98, 102, and then a couple songs that are 120, 123.
Yeah, how do you put that in?
Yeah, it's kind of
usually like, depending on if you're putting together records for a specific set.
Yeah.
Then it's easy. You're like, okay, cool. I'm gonna take the 98 off this one.
Yeah.
And that's where it's gonna go. And hopefully,
But where does it sit at home? That's the question.
That's a good question. Within the last set that you still haven't put away those records into their spots yet.
Yeah.
They're just in there.
So as a guy coming up, surrounded by DJs, things like that, you start to develop this skill set and you start getting good at it.
Mm-hmm.
What do you do next? Like, do you start performing locally? How do you start moving into the realm where you actually get your your little DJ name and everything?
The first gig I ever played out was probably at some coffee shops in like Tempe. Non-paying gigs, just like
the
come
standard,
in,
the usual.
Come in, play some tunes, and maybe some of your friends would come out, cool. But then the first actually like probably paying gigs I had, the first paying and weekly residency I had was actually here in Salt Lake.
Really?
I think it was in 2000 at the Canyon Inn.
Oh, cool.
And I was 18 or 19. That place isn't even around, so I can say this now. But yeah, I was underage, and they had me fill out, a W-2, and I kind of just made a fake Social Security number on that because they cut me checks every week.
Yeah.
But I was like, oh my god, like wow, I'm getting paid to play.
What the hell?
To play music. This is awesome. Like, and then from there it was just like, oh cool, like. You DJ? Cool. Come DJ at my bar. Come DJ at my wedding. Come DJ this. And
yeah. We were talking a little bit the other day about weddings and how it sucks your soul out a little bit.
Yeah. Seriously. But I mean, I've had some really fun weddings, but at the same time, it's like for your typical wedding, you're just there. You're playing what they want to hear. There's some weddings though that I've had have been great. Maybe I know the people getting married.
Sure.
Yeah.
And I'll sit down with
loose
them
a little bit more
and like try to get to know them and like what they like and don't like. And put together a real intimate playlist. For their day because
That's cool.
Like I always said, like, well, when I get married, I know exactly every song I want to hear.
Yeah.
And it's funny, I did get married last summer.
Oh.
And my buddy
DJ'd your own wedding. I'm sure your wife was stoked.
I didn't know. I seriously, I didn't even want to ask any of my friends to do it.
Yeah.
Because I was like, nah, man, like, I've never been invited to someone's wedding
As a guest. Without the obligation.
Yeah.
It's
So I was
hey,
like,
you want to come, but can you also bring some speakers?
Yeah,
It's like, God damn it,
exactly.
You don't have to play. Just bring the gear, man.
Yeah, so like my buddy Justin Godina, who another local DJ, we DJ a lot together. he was like, I'll bring the speakers down, bring my decks, and just kind of have them there if because there was a lot of DJs at my wedding,
Yeah,
of
sure.
course.
Yeah.
So if anyone wants to play, cool.
I think that's pretty common.
Yeah.
FaZe did that in Seattle. I think Vic did the same thing with his
Yeah,
wedding.
and honestly, like I had my iPod going because I created like my wedding
The
playlist.
list.
And honestly, I don't think anyone DJ'd. Just
Love
my
it.
just
That's
just
perfect.
my iPod was going. We had turntables and everything, and I think someone started to DJ, but I feel like I cut him off. I was like, no. I was like, just go back to the iPod.
You had too many cocktails, buddy. Now
Yeah, yeah. Like no one wants to hear Beverly Hills Cop right now. I mean, I love that track. Don't get me wrong. Axel Foley theme is the jam. But this is my day.
So I'm assuming at 18, 19, you didn't come to Salt Lake for the gig. Like
No, not at
what
all.
had brought you up here? Just family moved and you came with them, or
I came up for the mountains. I'd come up. My older brother had lived up here, and he
that's right.
he worked up at Brighton Ski Resort.
oh, cool.
And he's like, come up here. He's like, when you graduate, come up here. I'll get you a job, whatever. So he got me a job working. I was actually really lucky. He got me a night job up there, which are you kind of have to work there for a couple of years
To get one of those.
to get the night job, so you can ski all day, and then you just stay up there and work at night.
Yeah.
And
That's a good
that's what I
gig.
did.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. And then DJing was just
Side income, yeah.
just on the side,
Yeah.
I wasn't trying to I never would have thought if you told me when I was 16 that DJing would pay my bills.
Right.
Now that I'm 30, well, I'll be 37 in a couple weeks, mind blowing.
Yeah, right.
Like when I bought, when I got my first set of turntables.
When did it set that this is your thing? I mean, because for me, I kept fighting it. I'm just doing this on the side to get some extra cash, and then 20 years later, I'm still doing it on the side, but more full time.
Yeah, it's crazy because I always had jobs, whether it be bartending, serving tables, or whatever.
Yeah.
And then I started working in record stores here and there. And then I had the opportunity to kind of run this record store. And then a couple years later, I ended up owning that record store.
Oh, cool.
So I was like, okay, cool. I'm like full-time record guy now. Like,
When was this?
this was, let's see, 2007. I think I took it over in 2008 or 9. That was a terrible time to own a record store, by the way.
Right.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
Like-
it was after they were cool and before they got cool again.
Exactly. And it was and Serato was just kind of becoming the thing for DJs. So even the
you lost
DJs,
that.
the DJs weren't buying records because they weren't really pressing records for all the
Right.
all the mainstream top
Yeah.
40 club hits. So it was like, oh, you just need a computer now. So and I was like, oh man, I never see any DJs in here buying records because they're all
Doing it online and downloading it.
yeah.
you know?
So it was a hard time, and I mean, I think that's when the housing all
Market
that
crashed.
that crashed. Like it was just a terrible time. But I wrote it out. I blew. When I was little, my grandma had hooked me up with some stocks and Heinz ketchup, and I pretty much cashed in all of my stocks to keep the record store afloat for as
Wow.
long as I could. And I think I had a good 4 or 5 year run at it, and
all the hindsight 2020.
Yeah, it's too bad all that inventory is not sitting in a garage right now because it's the time to have a record store.
oh, I know, seriously.
So-
And I got out of it, and I still had a lot of inventory. And there was another, I can't remember what his store was, but he was that guy, oh, I want to start a record store. And I was like, hey, man,
I'll sell you all.
I know.
I'm trying to get rid of all this inventory that I'm just done with it. I'm paying out of my pocket. My DJing gigs are paying for the record store.
Yeah.
I'm spending all my time at the record store, and it's not really
it's
making me any money.
counterintuitive.
Yeah.
So this guy came up, and we met on a good number for everything, and I was like, cool. Loaded up a U-Haul, all gone.
Washed your hands of it and moved on.
Yep.
Where was it, what was it called? Where was it at?
So I used to work at this store. It was in Sugar House called Orion's Music.
Okay.
And before Orion's, it was called Salt City CDs on 9th and 9th, right where Coffee Garden is,
Yeah.
right there. But then from Sugar House, that guy actually ended up selling it. He was the smart guy. He sold
got
it
out just in time.
He sold it to a guy named Bob McCarthy, who owns Stone Ground Restaurant and the Garage on Beck.
Oh, nice.
Okay.
So Bob bought his whole inventory, and then Bob brought me on to run the shop, and this was 2006, 2007, I think. So then we moved it underneath Stone Ground Restaurant, right on 4th South,
Like where
just
that
across.
tattoo shop is now?
Exactly.
Yeah, okay.
That's exactly where it was.
Cool.
It was there, and then after a couple years there, I heard my rent was going to be doubling.
Ugh.
So I was like, oh.
Well, I'm not selling any more records. So.
I'm like, well, I'm going to find another space. So at the same time, Uprock, local hip-hop shop, record shop, graffiti shop. Yeah, it's pretty much a graffiti shop.
Yeah, that was my spot.
They were getting kind of kicked out of their space as well. And I was always good friends with them. And we're like, hey, let's just combine forces and open up let's have 2 shops in one. So we did that. It was cool. I mean, the rent was cheap, but at the same time, it was more of a graffiti shop and less of a record shop. And
Yeah.
it was kind of just like fading away. And I was like, I'm done with this.
Yeah.
Like, it was just kind of
Trying to keep it alive, but it just was on its last legs anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I don't even know what happened to those guys. They're further downstate now, I think, but I haven't been
They're
in
on
the
like
shop.
15th South
Yeah.
across from Slick right there.
Yeah. So, but I haven't been in there in 10 years, 15 years.
Yeah.
But when they were up here where like Lost Art Tattoo and all that stuff is,
Yeah.
up on that block, I used to go all the time. But
Yeah, that was like when I first moved here, Kel, who was one of the older owners at Uprock, he was like, I don't want to say he took me under his wing, but he was one of the cool guys. I'd go in there, I think I was still trying to do graffiti stuff. And he'd sell me some markers or
Yeah.
spray paint or whatever. And records as well.
yeah,
Like that's how we
I
hit
bought a
it
bunch
off.
of Breaks records and stuff up there.
Yeah, and he was the nicest guy, and I was like, oh wow, this guy's super nice. But
Yeah, no, it's funny. I used to buy. There was one of these crappy like Bob's Magazine spots.
Yeah,
I think the one I used to go to is now like a head shop or something. But I mean, because I would lived in Idaho at the time, so I would have to drive down here to find all this stuff. And I used to buy at this Bob's Magazine. They were publishing a magazine for Army of Dogs, which is one of the big graffiti crews that are largely the Uprock guys.
Yeah,
and
AOD.
yeah. So I used to get their magazine, but it was like color photocopies, right? I mean, it was
Yeah.
like super indie.
Yeah.
and so,
Yeah.
So I used to follow that stuff. So it was funny because all that stuff kind of came together. And there was this dude that used to kind of run with them. It was called Ego. And a few years, I guess now it's been kind of a while, but I finally met this guy Ego, who's a tattoo artist from Seattle.
Dude,
And
he was gonna finish my sleeve.
And he was working out of my friend Jesse's shop in Pocatello.
Dude, he's the shit.
Yeah, he's amazing. And but he was part of this Army of Dogs crew, whose magazine I used to buy when I was a kid. So it's pretty cool this how that
Full
kind
circle.
of whole street
Yeah, yeah.
community kind of stayed together, and they're even if everybody's kind of gone different places, they're still together. It's pretty cool. It's a fun scene to have been a part
Yeah,
of.
even like Kel, who I was talking about, like he started to come out and DJ again. Like we've got him out of retirement. He
that's
comes and
cool.
plays with us here and there.
Well, they used to do like those little basement shows at Uprock and stuff where they had like
Yep.
they'd bring people in. They had a little half pipe in the back of the place, and they'd set up turntables. And,
Sounds like
it
the
was a cool
skate shop
spot,
in
man. I loved it.
Pocatello.
Yeah,
Yeah,
saw
it was
a lot of good shows. And
yeah,
then
I missed that joint.
towards the end, they started doing like punk rock shows, hardcore shows, like.
Well, and it's hard to find
Yeah.
a good like punker show around here.
Yeah.
I stumbled into one
Kilby
a couple
Court's
years
about
ago.
the only kind of
Yeah, well,
really
that
is
one feels
it.
like Zombieland on
Yeah.
your way down there. But
Yeah.
it's kind of a cool little venue, but
Yeah.
it's a little sketch.
Nowadays, I mean, Diabolical does a lot of cool live shows, like
Yeah, I went to
every
one.
night of the week almost.
I don't know how. I think my wife and kids and stuff were out of town, and I was just in town by myself. So I went down to There's a bar here called I think it's the Green Pig, and I went and I just had a couple beers or whatever, and I was leaving the place and I could hear like, you know, thrasher punk rock, and I was trying to figure it out. And so on that side street there, like where the heavy metal shop is and all that, right across from the heavy metal shop, like in just some closet door, basically, they were holding this little like super indie underground punk show.
Yeah.
And so that was the last one I've been to, and I just loved it. But like I miss all that stuff. I used to do so much of that kind of thing, and like now I'm so removed from the scene that I don't know where anything is. But
Yep. Yeah.
it's pretty cool.
So is there actually a decent record shop in Salt Lake right now? Is there?
There has been for 40 years.
I'm so new here. I don't know.
It's called Randy's Records.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, we were just talking
we
about
were
that.
actually just talking about it. But yeah, Randy's is a great shop. Like I know a lot of guys that are collectors that still go there. And
Oh
stuff.
yeah, it's Randy's. I mean,
It sounds like some.
it's an institution. It's a Salt Lake institution, and
Okay.
Randy just recently
Hey, did he sell or retire? or
he
something?
retired just last year actually, and his son Sam is taking over the business.
nice.
Sam, who also he's a fellow DJ as well.
Okay.
He's taking it over. It's funny. I was at Randy's yesterday. I think I went to Randy's 4 times in the last 7 days.
How funny.
And like, yesterday I went in because one of the guys who works there, Jared, he was saying like, oh yeah, my turntable's messed up or something. I was like, oh, I got one at my house. I'll bring it in tomorrow. And like I bring it in, you know, give him the turntable, like hooked him up, you know, $20 for like a nice Pioneer PL250 direct drive turntable or something. And then I see another dude, Jeremy, who works there, and he's like, are you okay? He's like, I've seen you 4 times this week. I'm like, no, I'm good. Like, I didn't look at any records today. I didn't buy any records. Like, I'm just dropping off this turntable and
then
like
you picked
some
up 2 on your way out.
stickers. Yeah, but it was how much did they get me for this week? They probably got me for about $200-300 this week.
Yeah, no, it's pretty crazy, that
Yeah.
whole scene. I mean, the guys that I know that are collectors aren't like DJ types. They just collect old records and unique records and stuff. And so it's interesting, but those guys will dump so much money on this stuff. And like, I just imported a couple French records. My kid's all of a sudden into French music, so I've been getting all this old French stuff.
Nice.
And so I brought in a couple, and I was just thinking about Randy's the other day because I was like, I haven't been there in years, and I was like, oh, dude. I bet they have some of this old crap, you know. So
Yeah.
I got to go over and check it out. But
Yeah. I should roll with you just so I could see.
Randy's
Yeah.
is definitely the spot. That's like a second home to me.
yeah, I mean, years and years ago, like I used to like going to the Gray Whale stores too. They seemed pretty good.
Gray
back in the
Gray
day.
Whales are great. It's sad the one up by
Yeah.
the university is
Yeah,
done.
is it
It's
gone now,
closing.
right? Yeah.
I think it's still open, but
It's on the way out.
It's on the way out.
Yeah.
Same thing like rent.
Well, they
Rent's
used to
going
remind
up.
me of a place, like maybe you know it from just being down in the Phoenix area, but Zia Records was
Oh,
kind of
Zia
this
was
way
Yeah,
too,
yeah.
where they had a
Yeah.
good balance of CDs to vinyl, and they, you know, it was like your good local music
Oh,
shop.
And they
yeah,
had the
Zia
whole-
was
the
right
local
down the
music
street.
area there too. You
Yeah.
could go
Yeah,
and find
especially
all
that.
the good.
Yeah, the Zia and Tempe, especially those guys were really active in like sort of
Mm-hmm.
local music and all that stuff. Mike and I used to hold concerts in Phoenix all the time, and
Okay.
so we know the Zia guys pretty well. from
Yeah,
back
I
then.
used the Zia, the one up by Fiesta Mall. That was a good spot.
Yeah, the one that we played with or was most involved with us, I think, is over by the university.
Yeah, right off the
right up or
Mill.
kinda near
Yeah,
Arizona State,
right
near Mill
on.
and all that.
Is that 6 right there?
Yeah, which is whatever the one that heads towards the freeway.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
one, and then it's been a
Yeah.
minute since I was down in Phoenix, but I'm
Yeah.
going next week though, or in 2 weeks.
There's a lot of cool record stores in Phoenix right now again.
Yeah, are there really?
Yeah.
That's
The
awesome.
Trill. Have you heard of Trill?
Yeah, the hip hop shop.
Yeah, that seems like a cool joint.
Yeah, that's Chuck's spot, I think. And he used to own. There was a small little hip hop shop called Style Rock shop back in the day. It was probably the size of this room.
Really how funny.
You just walk in kind of.
But it was filled with. It's kind of like the heavy metal shop. Here.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
super
same thing. It's a
small, but
closet,
just
but it's the coolest
filled
spot.
with like everything.
Yeah, there used to be a
Right.
record store in Twin Falls, Idaho called Rat Salad. That was
Rat
it was the
Salad.
Rat
That's a
Salad
Great,
record store.
great name.
That's
yeah.
And it was the same kind of thing. It was like an old house, but like the top
Yeah.
floor was this little
Yep.
record shop, and it was so cool. But yeah, no, I mean the heavy metal shop here is iconic also. So it's a cool spot. But yeah, it's literally 10 foot by 10 foot or something. It's like
Yeah.
a tiny
more.
little room. Yeah, it's a cool spot. I go there every 3 to 5 years to get my new heavy metal shop shirt because mine will be faded and destroyed. So So I stop every now and then for that because I feel like that's the thing you need to be like, in the know in Salt Lake. You got to have your black heavy metal shop shirt. So that's awesome.
Crazy.
Well, cool. So let's talk a little bit then as your career's progressing. So I think we got a little sidetracked, but at last talk, we were 19. You got your first gig up at the
Canyon Inn.
Canyon Inn.
Yeah.
And then owned a record store for a little while.
Got out of the record business. And then, but by this point, you said DJing was paying for everything. So what are you doing in your DJ career in this time?
Basically DJing. I'd started DJing, usually, 3, 4, 5 times a week, and I was like, oh my God, like, I'm actually making like pretty good money doing this.
That's crazy when you realize that, right?
Yeah, and even like right now, it's like people ask me like, wait, how much do you make? I was like, and even my wife, she's like, you make way more money than me.
That's the benefit of marrying a school teacher, though. Whatever you're doing,
you're still gonna make more money.
Whatever you're
than
doing
they are.
sounds better than what they're doing.
Yeah.
So,
but it's and it's hard now because it's like I went like last year, like I got a degree in sociology from the University of Utah. And I'm like, okay, cool, because like, I mean, I know I can't be doing this DJ stuff forever.
You keep telling yourself that, but 10 years from now, you're still gonna be.
Yeah, but it's so hard. I'm like, I make like this much money working this much, and it's not necessarily like, oh, it's great, I work less. I mean, of course, everyone strives to like work less, make more. That's how it is.
But the work that you are doing on the side, outside of the club, like the prep work and all that, you enjoy it. It's fun.
Oh, yeah, totally.
That's the example.
It's not really work.
Yeah, it's the example I always use with Mike. And, like, I get into this with my wife every now and then because, like, I mentioned before the show, but anyone that listens to the show knows I work in advertising and marketing and stuff, and I do a lot of creative work. And, I mean, for me, like, I never work. Like, every day is awesome. Like, I have so much fun doing what I do and, you know, getting to work with people and help them craft their business or whatever it is I'm working on at any given time. Like, none of it feels like a chore. So I have to imagine, like, for guys in the DJ biz, I know this is true with Mike. I mean, it's fun. I mean, you're all day immersed in music and spinning records and trying new things. I mean, what a cool life to have.
It is to a point. I'll tell you that it definitely takes its toll on you. A lot of DJs will slip in, like addiction and stuff. You're in a bar.
You spend enough time in the bar, right?
Like, you're probably gonna pick up a drinking habit.
That's the underside that most people don't want to talk about. It's like, because it happened to me. There was a couple years where I went a little too hard, and it
makes perfect sense. You're in the environment.
Yeah, you're there.
A lot of times they're giving you free drinks
and
or whatever. It might be all the money you're making is the free drinks.
Sometimes you're playing for drinks.
And so, so they're hooking you up, or people who like what you're doing are bringing you shots or whatever.
Well, that's what gets me. Whenever I have a bad night, when it's something that
when you're buying your own shots, that's when you know it's a bad night.
No, when it's the random guest that brings up the double Jaeger that's like, hey, bro.
Exactly.
And then
hey, you're killing it, dude. Here.
That's tomorrow's headache.
Oh, God, thanks.
and you want to be polite, so it's like, oh, thanks,
well,
man.
that's part of the
Like,
thing,
cool.
too. You're the performer. You're the rock star, so to speak. So I mean, you got to do the shots. You got to do that. I mean, there's kind of like this weird social expectation, that you behave a certain way. You don't want to be DJ sociologist.
I used to do mixed drinks, and don't do those anymore. What I kind of resorted to and found my special spot is...
You just started drinking a bottle a night, right? You just take the bottle and drink the bottle.
I do 2 shots. I start with a shot of Jameson and then a shock top or whatever of beer, and then about an hour and a half later I do another shot and beer, and that gets me through the night.
I'm on the same, pretty much almost the same program. Like I start the night off with a shot and a beer, and water. I drink a lot of water. But I'll usually have another shot, an hour or so later. And if I'm feeling real crazy, I probably have 3 shots.
Yeah. Around here, it's rough because you can't really,
Well, the worst value in the bar is the mixed drink here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't want to mess with that. Here in Utah, we're talking about, I mean, basically all the drinks here are metered. And I found that as we bitch about alcohol rules here, like...
I like them.
I actually find that other places do the same thing.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, like Colorado has the same beer percentage that we do. So in Utah, we're famous for our 3.2 beer.
Yeah.
And, but I guess Colorado has that too. And they have Coors like right there in their backyard, So,
Well,
I mean...
So going from Pocatello to here.
That's a hard one because Pocatello is still a little old west, so they make their drinks just like woo.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you get tolerance built up pretty quick in Pocatello.
Well, I can't remember what
Yeah.
it was. We were up there for a birthday or something, and we went and saw you. We saw you perform.
That was a fun night.
And we came out to the bar that Mike was playing at, and I just was getting 7 and 7s, which is kind of something I get regularly, But here in Utah, it's one shot to the microliter.
Yeah.
Of
1.5
7,
at some
and then a
some
ton
places.
of 7 Up.
Yeah.
And so it's it's a 7 Up with like something to make it kind of gross.
Exactly.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so, but in Idaho, it's like all 7, all Seagrams, and then like a splash of 7 Up.
Splash. Yep.
And so, so it's easy to get into trouble up there. I mean, at least down here, you know what you're getting, so you can kind of regulate. The only problem I ever had down here is that back in the olden days when I would tour with some different bands, whenever we'd play Utah, I mean, I would get, I would have, whatever my drink of choice was in all these other cities, and 2 or 3 would get me lit, and then I'd come here and I'd need 15, or whatever. And so I found that I was drinking a lot more. I'm going to butcher the joke, but there's this old movie called SLC Punk.
Oh, I remember that.
It was shot here in Salt Lake, and it's kind of this old like punker scene. It's actually one of my favorite old movies. But but there's a line in there, something about the 3.2% alcohol, and how having the lower alcohol content per beer forces you to drink more beers. So basically, instead of having a bunch of drunks, you have a bunch of fat drunks.
Yeah. Totally.
So it's exactly what it is.
Well, I kind of actually...
I like the 3.2 beer. Like, I have friends that it's like, I could drink beer all day.
Yeah, it kind of keeps you out of trouble.
Yeah.
Because
Well,
that's
that's the
it's
thing,
great.
right? Like
2 or 3 double IPAs in Idaho, and you're ready for a nap.
Yeah.
I quit the venue in Idaho because I was sick of the clients. I was sick of the people that came in there. They still smoked. They still,
The smoking was the problem.
smoking
You can still smoke in the bars.
Yeah.
That's some
the only
Idaho
bar
shit.
in
So
forever,
like,
Yeah.
and they were legit drunks. Like they went to the bar to get drunk.
Oh, yeah.
Versus going to have a good time,
Go and having a
socialize,
drink,
and have a few
whatever.
drinks.
Yeah.
So it's a whole different mindset, and I ended up. There was a rough night, and I kind of got into an altercation with one of them, and I just was like, "Fuck it, I'm done. I'm not working here anymore. It's not worth." I've seen some gnarly fights, like some crazy stuff going on in there, and it's not worth the potential of having some shit go down. So I just quit.
Yeah.
But, yeah. Anyways,
Yeah.
tangent.
But yeah, DJing, it definitely can take its toll on you. The hours,
Do you kind of
the
set
drinks.
Do you set a? When I'm doing it full time, I get in a night schedule. Like I get up around 1 in the afternoon.
Yeah, this is his excuse for sleeping till 1.
no,
I'm a DJ, but the bar
Well, that's
closes
the
at
thing.
2.
Is like
come on.
my thought process is okay. I'm on the weekends. I'm going to bed 3 or 4 in the morning regularly, like because you get home 2, takes about an hour to unwind. You throw on some TV and you kind of pass out. 3 or 4.
Yeah.
If I try and jump back and forth between that schedule and then starting a day schedule and then on the weekend go back to that schedule and then it's horrible. It's hard. So I usually that was my thing. I'd get up at 1. I'd stay up until 4.
Yeah.
Is that kind of your?
I used to be like that, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's like you just got to be able to like accept, like, okay, this is my schedule. Like, don't feel bad because hey, I work till 2, 3 a.m. I can sleep in late, and don't let anyone tell you, whether it be your significant other, like, oh, you sleep till noon or whatever. It's like,
well, it's a little different too. I mean, if you
You
stay
went
up
to
till
bed at 9 and slept till 5.
well,
so there
or,
you go.
I used to work until 1 or 2. Like 2 was my hard cutoff. So, but for 6 years I was working until 2 in the morning. and and still had to get up at 6:30 and take the kids and stuff like that.
Yeah,
But the difference is I wasn't jacked and amped up at 2 a.m. I was like done and ready for bed.
Exactly.
So I got to go right to sleep, and even though it wasn't a ton of sleep, I mean, maybe 2 to 6:30 or 2 to 7, my 4.5 or 5 hours is different than coming home jacked at 2 and going, bzz, and having to chill out and
you got to
watch The
decompress
Bachelor and then go to go to bed.
What's your decompress thing? What do you do? Talk radio was my thing. Like driving home, I'd listen to talk radio and just kind of chill, and then
Paul Harvey.
Yeah, well,
a lot of times it'll be I know it's like I just spent all night playing music, but a lot of times I'll go home, I'll throw the headphones on
and listen to what you want to hear.
and listen to what I want to hear, or something totally opposite.
A bunch of stuff you can't dance to.
Yeah,
a bunch of
it's
really eclectic.
Like a lot of
African
people
music
would
or something.
always ask me, like, "Hey, what do you listen to after this?" And I'm like, "You really want to know? Really? Like some sad, sappy shit, dude." Like, I don't know. It's yeah.
It's funny.
It's UB40's greatest hits all night, every
Yeah,
day.
yeah, you never know. Yeah. Just like, what? You put on Jerry Rafferty and like Christopher Cross? Like, yeah, dude, I do, man. Like, I like that shit.
That's great.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, as your careers progressed and you started moving through, one funny story, and I'm going backwards a little bit in the timeline, but well, it's not even really a funny story, but you were the winner of sort of the inaugural City Weekly Music Award, DJ spin-off competition. This is 2011, so it's a little bit of a step backwards. But let's talk a little bit about that experience, what that show was like, all that kind of thing.
That was an interesting one. It was the first time City Weekly did. I think they still do. Or no, they still do these actually. They're just not as. I think they're not as big as they like. Then it was like so fresh and new, and it was like, oh wow, cool. Like, oh, a DJ spin-off. Whoa. But it was fun. It was at the W Lounge. W Lounge, definitely.
W Hotel.
No.
See, they've got the
fancy.
W
This is
Holes
Salt Lake.
hotels in Seattle, and they actually did a vinyl night there. Wax on Wednesdays.
Okay.
And that was a big thing for a while. Their lounge was cool.
So the W Lounge was basically a hole in the wall, all black paint with a killer sound system. It was a bar.
Love it.
It's not there anymore. The whole building's been torn down.
Oh, nice.
But that was the spot where you'd go to dance. You wanted to hear any new, like, I remember I used to DJ there in the early mid-thousands, and I remember like seeing DJ A-Track there.
Nice.
Like a lot of big name dudes would come play this little spot, and it was incredible. So it was there, and it was, who was in it? Me, I was in it, DJ Juggy, DJ Rockalypse, DJ Lowkey, and DJ Flash and Flare. And we all did like, we all had two sets, probably, I think, how many people was that? We probably had like 20-minute sets or something like that. And I honestly didn't think I had a shot.
Had you ever like battled before? Was that like your thing? Or
Well,
was
see,
it...
this is the thing. It was like, it wasn't like your typical, like you think of a DJ battle, you're thinking of the DMCs,
or the
people
three-style
doing like
kinda
some
thing.
crazy routines. It was kind of more of like the Red Bull like 3-style.
Okay.
More of just like, okay, I'm gonna like party rock for 20 minutes and see what happens. But so yeah, I did that. I think I played my first one, and then I saw some other people, and I was like, dang, like Eric's set, a Rockalypse, he had like that amazing like scratch intro.
Dude, he's legit.
And
dude.
I was like,
He's so
I was
good.
like, all right, cool. Like, there's your winner right there. So, I probably hit the bar. I was like, I don't have a shot at this, so give me some shots or whatever. And sure enough, they like announce it at the end of the night, it's like, all right, your winner is. And I'm like, what? And I was probably a little intoxicated by then.
It happens.
Because I like at the after my second set, I think I went on at midnight. So I was like, I don't have a shot, whatever, cool.
Yeah.
And I won it. And
easily
I was like,
a couple
cool,
sheets to the wind.
So that was cool. I don't think I ever did. Maybe I did the next year and then didn't win, but Yeah, it was a cool experience. I got paid in free ad space by City Weekly.
Sounds about right.
Sounds about right.
So it was cool. Like, and basically all I did was run ads for my record store at the time.
Oh,
Well,
yeah,
there
that's
you go.
perfect.
So I was like, oh, cool. That was like $3,000 worth of advertising. Awesome.
Sweet.
Yeah, that's great.
And I
worked out
think
good.
I think I did an ad for like, I think I made like a funny like haha ad too, just
to throw in there.
yeah, just something that was like just so off the wall that didn't fit, had nothing to do with the record
ad
store or
manager's like,
anything.
what the hell is this?
I was like, yeah, this is what I want. Thank you. Like, cool.
Well, they can't tell you no because they've got all those massage ads in there and all this other
Yeah, I was like,
insane
why
stuff.
not?
I mean, what are they going to tell you about your funny ad?
Yeah. But you know, that was definitely a cool experience. Lots of talented DJs that were in that competition.
How was the
yeah.
scene around here? Like, as far as, is it a good community, or is it kind of, cliques?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, there's definitely little cliques and stuff. You got, I'm not gonna name names or
No, I
anything.
know. I just.
But
broad
no,
overview.
there's a couple different cliques, who kind of like stick. They have their spots. They
Is it sort of by genre too, though? Like we were talking about earlier.
Yeah,
so
kind
the breaks
of.
guys hang out in one spot. The club guys hang out somewhere else. That
Yeah,
kind of deal?
kind of. So like, there's a crew of like club DJs and radio DJs, all really amazing DJs, who kind of like have their own thing, and rotate each other at these same spots. And I think myself, and a couple guys I play with a lot, we kind of have the same thing.
Yeah, you're just your homies with them, and
Yeah,
you
yeah,
kind of
you
got
know.
a gig
Yeah,
option.
makes sense.
Yeah, we're friends, we kind of rotate as well, and we know who to call if
You guys
know.
do like an occasional dance off, like a Sharks and the Jets kind of moment when you
Yeah,
run into you guys.
basically.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Hey
yeah.
man, what are you doing in my club?
Yeah.
Things get taken out to the alley out back.
Yeah. It's
So or is it pretty friendly, like generally across the,
No,
the city?
it's friendly. I think we're all friends. Like, we all know each other. I mean, Salt Lake's small.
Yeah.
Like, you're gonna know everybody.
It's funny. I don't like, as far as local guys. I know you, Miles. That's about it. Vic up in Park City.
Yeah.
It's. But on social media, I know all of them. It's like
Yeah,
you
yeah.
gotta get out more, man.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, there's definitely some little clicks, and I'll say this too. There is an amazing scene for like the Salt Lake like house music right now.
Yeah.
Is like that is a really strong scene.
Yeah, it seems like just like kind of in business generally, there's a lot more of these loungy environments popping up. And so I'm
Yep.
sure they're looking for guys that can spin that kind of stuff. Just
Yeah.
to keep the vibe going.
Yep.
Do you
and,
get into that at all? Is that?
Whenever they invite me.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I love that stuff too, but like I think I get, kind of pigeonholed into like, oh, he
Yeah,
can.
it's hard to be known for everything.
Yeah, and it's like, but every once in a while, like, I think it was last October or November, Jesse Walker, he's been a big name in the house music scene in Salt Lake for, the last 20 years.
Yeah.
He has his kind of crew and his brand called New City Movement that he's been doing, throwing parties since the mid 90s,
Nice.
So he's like kind of the OG of
Warehouse
that scene.
party kind of
and
thing,
and he did a 20-year anniversary. He did it at the it used to be called Club Bricks. I think it's called that still, but this was a spot.
No,
it was like
it's in the venue now, I think.
or in the venue or something.
Yeah, it's like a weird name because in the venue doesn't make sense, but that's what it's called, I think.
Yeah, and
So-
so he threw a giant party with. He kind of took DJs from every scene. It's like, okay, cool, in the basement, kind of like the hip hop and more funk kind of soul guys who kind of do it all. And then on the rooftop, we've got like house guys.
Oh, that's
And then
cool.
on the main stage, they had me, which was really weird, which was cool though. It was like, and they had this dude Doc Martin from LA. He was the main headliner. But yeah, it was cool. Like that was like for him to even ask me to like
Yeah.
That's cool.
open up on like the main stage. It was like me, I went first, and then Jesse, and then the main dude for the whole night. I was like, oh, okay, cool. Like I don't get asked often to play a lot of those like house gigs.
Yeah.
But
I love it when you
every once in a while
Yeah,
I
that's
do.
cool.
I'm like, cool,
It's
thank
super
you.
like,
yeah.
Okay, so I'm running into this right now, like, because I'm playing on Friday, at Button Down, and they're like the hip hop kind of spot in town, right? That's like the main
it's
format
the new
there.
spot, the hot, all the club
I haven't
stuff.
DJ'd in 7 months, and before that, I did more open format, kind of all across the board because it's a bar. And so now I'm pulling my hair out, trying to listen to as much hip hop as I can, trying to get my set ready for Friday, and it's like it's a little bit, kind of nerve wracking when you haven't done a club that size in a while, and then you're getting into it. And I mean, the house kind of stuff as well. Like anytime I get a gig like that, I'll spend the whole week. I'll like immerse myself in it just so that I can kind of know what
it's
I'm
hard
getting
and,
into.
and sort of to your point, you do kind of get pigeonholed, right? Because you grab you grab your specialty. I mean, you can't know every song on every genre and everything and be the best at it.
Yeah.
You might have a feel or be able to step in and do a house show, for example. But there's the guys that all they do is house are going to be the best house guys.
Yeah.
And so it makes sense. And so like in Mike's case, having to focus in on hip hop, is probably a bit of a challenge, especially because I don't know, man. I watch a little bit of hip hop and that stuff moves fast. Stuff comes out, it hits for 2 seconds, and then it's on to the next.
It's crazy. It's like
It's hard to stay on top of.
it's like
You know,
okay,
1 week
cool.
it's this,
One
next
week
week-
it's like, oh, that song's so played out. That song's so 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
I'm like, are you serious?
It came out like back in the day, like Tupac comes out or Notorious comes out.
Yeah.
That album's hot for 2 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
now
still
it's, now it's can you get a week?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy scene.
Yeah.
Your style of mixing is actually pretty cool. Like the other night, I stopped in at Lake Effect and saw you do your thing. You do a lot of loops. Like I
play a lot of loops. I do. More like cut and paste kind of style.
I dig it. Like because that's not me. I'm 8 bars and I'm on to the next one. I don't do loops. I don't do any. I'll do like acapella ins on the dry outs and stuff like that. But you were doing like full loop acapella sets and it was pretty cool.
I think I feel like I do that from like if I'm making beats or sampling stuff, I do a lot of stuff with like guitar loop pedals and stuff. So
That's cool.
I'm always like kind of got that loop mentality, I guess.
Yeah.
And also like when I'm sampling music, like I'm more of a cut and paste, like, all right, cool, sample this loop and layer it on top of this loop, instead of like sitting there chopping stuff, like people, chopping up samples and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm more of like a straight loop paste.
That 4 bar, get it in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. So let's talk a little bit about like sort of present day. So now you're working with a radio station here in town, KUAA. Can we talk a little bit about the radio station, how you got into radio, and your show,
totally.
The Long Walk Home?
So, let's see. We just did, what was this week? This week was our 15th show, I think. So we're fairly new as far as the Long Walk Home. And that's a show we do Tuesday nights from 7 to 10 p.m.
What's the format?
We pretty much we're playing vinyl.
Okay.
Playing everything. So just this week we had a show. It was the 30th anniversary of De La Soul's album,
Nice.
3 Feet High and Rising.
Oh, wow.
So my buddy James, a.k.a. Sneaky Long, who I DJ with as well, we both do the radio show together.
Oh, cool.
He was like, hey, why don't we do something for the 30th anniversary? And I was like, you think we could do a 3-hour show with that? And I was like, I don't know. I was like, let me start
Play it really, really
compiling
slow.
a list, and see, because we're gonna play all the samples they used to make that record.
Oh, cool.
Damn.
So
That's some research right there.
and that's what we did, and which was cool because that record was so groundbreaking as far as the stuff they were sampling. Like that record, as far as like sample-based records like that and Paul's Boutique are like
Yeah,
the
among
cream of the
top that
crop,
world,
you know? Because, Prince Paul, he was the guy who pretty much made all the music for that album, the De La Soul album. He was sampling everywhere from, Steely Dan to, Sly and the Family Stone to the Turtles.
Everything. Yeah.
And the Turtles actually ended up being what kind of hurt them. I don't know, long story short.
Is that Happy Together song? Or
No, it was the song You Showed Me, and he sampled it, and he slowed the pitch down, and they used it for a skit on the album. And one of the daughters of a band member from the band, the Turtles, heard it back then, and was like, hey, that's my song, And that's kind of how, that kind of killed
The sampling era.
Sampling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's when like lawsuits
When all of a
started
sudden
happening.
people got sued for stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And it sucks it happened to them on that album, and they still like don't have rights to their first 4 albums because Tommy Boy Records won't release them.
Mm-hmm.
And I get it from Tommy Boy's standpoint too, because Tommy Boy, it's like, hey, we have to pay all this money
Yeah.
for all these
We'd love to put it out, but
all
we
these
can't afford it.
samples, but hey, we can't really
Yeah.
afford it.
Well,
so
you
it's
think
like,
about it, one song has 20 samples in it or whatever, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah,
That's
there are like there's a couple skits on there that are a minute long that have like over 40 samples.
That's
Oh, wow.
crazy.
It's like crazy.
So getting the rights to do that and actually do it
Yeah.
legally
Just
is
literally
next to
couldn't afford
impossible.
it.
Yeah. So
So they
that
need to put it out as like one of those Wu-Tang records, where they just make one.
Just
and they
make
sell it
one.
for like $31 million or
exactly.
something. That might be the way to cover the samples on it.
Yeah.
So
So the radio show though, it's basically a giant melting pot of everything. Basically, if you were to come to my house and
Dig through
come
your
over
records.
come over for dinner or something, we're going to be playing records that I'm going to put on at my house.
Nice.
That not necessarily we don't have an outlet for a lot of the times when we're playing out, because I still play records playing out in the bars.
Well, you
and
do the
stuff,
Motown
too.
Mondays and stuff, right?
Yeah. So it's like, it's cool stuff that's like, or, stuff I don't get to play out a lot. And just stuff in our collection, It's like, one week we did like a special, we did a Blue Note jazz night,
That's
a
really nice.
couple weeks ago.
That's
like,
cool.
Yeah, I don't know. We just play good music, I guess. Like, it's fun though.
that's
And
cool.
that's been around for about a year and a half now? Or?
Yeah, so that radio station, I'll try to cut this short here, but so Bad Brad Wheeler, who's kind of he started this new radio station. He was on air with KRCL, another community radio station in Salt Lake. He was with them for like almost 30 years, I think. Big blues guy. He actually officiated my wedding too.
Nice.
Cool.
Last summer. He's really a reverend too. So
There you go.
Not one of these internet reverends.
no, he's legit. He's he knows his stuff. But so he left KRCL. He felt like it was getting a little too commercial. They were
Yeah.
kind of telling you what to play and like,
Yeah.
hey, you should play more of that. And he was kind of sick of it, so he stopped doing that. And then he had the opportunity to start this new station, and he did some fundraising for it, raised some money, to get some microphones and headphones and radio equipment. And he started doing his thing, and it's taken off because he like had a loyal fan base,
Oh, that's
big
good.
following.
That's awesome.
That kind of jumped up the radio dial to 99.9 now to KUAA. And I used to always go and guest DJ at the old station, and when he got this, he was like, well, before he announced it, because I was like, hey, what are you doing, man? You're not on the radio anymore. What have you been up to, man? You okay? Like, he's like, oh, keep it kind of
On the DL.
keep it on the DL, but I'm working on a new radio station. And I was like, oh, really? I was like, well, let me know. Like, I want
know a
to
guest DJ.
Yeah, I was like, I would love to help out any way I can, whether it be, music stuff, like doing a show or whatever. He's like, okay. So, a couple of months go by, and he's like, hey, I wanted to ask you first, I'm going to give you dibs on whatever time slot you want. You're the first person I've reached out to. I want to give you a radio show.
That's rad.
I was like, oh, okay, cool. I was like, yeah, I want Tuesday nights.
He's like, okay.
He's
Of
like,
all the nights.
he's like,
all
oh,
right.
okay.
That's the one, huh?
But it's like, it's good for me, for like, if you're DJing, like usually Thursday, Friday, Saturday, I'm always DJing somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Mondays, I usually DJ as well. I'm just
Well,
like,
and it gives you the Sunday
Tuesday.
to kind of prep and Monday to kind of, it's putting the show together is
Yeah.
rough. It's
honestly,
a lot
it's about 20 minutes prior of me flipping through records.
of work. Really?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Just like, oh, yeah, that's cool. I'll play that. Oh, that. Every once in a while, if it's like a theme show, yeah, I'll take some time and put it together. But
You
for the
do it
most
at-
part, just kind of, we wing it. Me and James just go track for track and kind of feed off each other.
That's cool. Yeah, that's awesome. Well, if you know any radio stations that want to syndicate a popular neighborhood podcast, we know some guys.
Yeah.
So cool. Well, I guess then we're probably getting to the end of this thing. What can people do to learn more about you? Can they find you online anywhere? Where can they see you playing?
Yeah, they can. I'm on. I ditched the Facebook. I don't do that. I don't have a website. If you find me on Instagram or Twitter,
That's
just
where to go.
at Chase12 ONE, the number 2. I think I still have like a SoundCloud page, or
You do.
do I?
you do.
Okay,
So
cool.
we have it in our notes. So
Awesome.
I'm sure you do.
It's
We're just
still-
waiting for you to do the right thing.
It's still there. Yeah. SoundCloud.com/Chase12. There's some mixes on there. I might have a Mixcloud or one of those other.
I switched to Mixcloud because SoundCloud deleted me.
Yeah. So I probably have one of those too, Mixcloud or Mixcrate.
Awesome. Well, and of course,
Yeah.
as usual, we'll share all the links and everything on our
Yeah,
site.
yeah.
So, if you want to track them down, you can.
Yeah.
A little housekeeping before we get out of here. I just want to talk quickly about next week or the coming week's guests. We've got coming up shortly is Macy Serafi. She's the owner of MSD Design out in Santa Monica. Also co-writer of the Typophobia product that belonged to Zach Schmies, who is one of our guests also, and the inaugural guest of The Carton.
Yep.
So check that out. We've also got Jason Troy coming up. He's an executive business coach. He helps rising stars maximize their leadership potential and performance. Should be a really interesting conversation. And lots of other good guests on the books. We've got some professional soccer players. We've got all kinds of good stuff coming. So stay tuned and, let the good times roll.
Cool.
So yeah, anything else, Chase, before we get out of here?
Yeah, tune in to my radio show, The Long Walk Home, every Tuesday night from 7 to 10 p.m. on 99.9 FM and heard all around the world at kuaafm.org.
Perfect.
Excellent. Yeah, no, we'll be tuning in and we'll share all those links and everything. So I guess if there's nothing further, we'll get out of here and call it a week.
Yeah,
everybody have a good one.
Thanks for having
Thanks
me.
for coming on. We're
Thanks
glad
for
to have
making
you.
the time.
Yeah.
And we'll do this again sometime.